Charities play a vital role in our community, supporting those who are most vulnerable. Creating a charity can be easy, but turning it into a sustainable organisation is hard work. The Growth Project supports small, successful charities, helping them grow so they can maximise their positive impact. We're a non-profit organisation that runs development programmes for charity leaders to grow their knowledge, skills and leadership potential. But we're not doing it alone. The Growth Project brings together an inspired group of supporters who believe in the power of engaged giving. They share their time, knowledge and resources to help develop the future leaders of the UK's non-profit sector. Together, we are taking care of those who care. Together, we can make a sustainable difference in the world.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us tonight as we celebrate the graduation of 18 outstanding leaders from the first ever Growth Project in the UK. This is actually the 10th graduation ceremony in total, the other 9 having taken place over the last 5 years in Sydney and Melbourne, Australia. We are very honoured that several members of the Growth Project board in Australia are joining us tonight, doubtless with a bowl of cornflakes in hand as they start their day. I want to pay a special tribute though to one of them, my great friend, Larry Fingleson. Larry is the co-founder of the Growth Project and is the architect of the programme that we have introduced into the UK. This programme, for me, it's like a magical recipe that he has handed over to us with abundant generosity and total trust. Larry, it has truly been the greatest gift, and we thank you for it. Our host tonight is also an old friend and an equally talented one at that, a partner at the law firm Mishcon. Elliot Moss is also the longtime presenter of a brilliant show on Jazz FM called Jazz Shapers. He warmed up yesterday with a live interview of Piers Morgan, so he really should be on his A game for us tonight as he hosts our graduation. I'm now going to place you into Elliot's safe hands for what I hope will be a relaxed yet informative and inspiring celebration of our 2020 Growth Project graduates.
Paul, thank you. Good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Hope you're having fun. If you're in the UK, I hope you've got a glass of wine handy, a cup of tea if you're that way inclined, or a bit of whiskey, which is my particular thing. It's really lovely to be part of this. Thank you, Paul, for inviting me into this community of people where I think you're going to be hearing some amazing stories, both about the present and the future. And from the things that I've been told by Paul and the things that I've read about the Growth Project, it really is pretty fantastic. It focuses on collaboration. It focuses on the line, or there not being a line between this idea of profit and of purpose. So without further ado, let me introduce some really important people. They are the J cohort. I've already met them briefly in the green room, the virtual green room, and they're all very excited. They've all got their cameras on. They're all looking lovely. They're going to sound lovely too. They're going to do a very quick introduction. If it's too long, then I press the mute button, but hopefully that won't happen. So let's start with, ladies and gentlemen, the first person, Sarah. Sarah, introduce yourself. Away you go.
Hi everyone, my name's Sarah and I'm the founder of the Kids Network, and we support children through their transition from primary to secondary school with one-to-one mentoring, and my growth partner was Kate.
Hi everybody, I'm Kate. As Sarah said, I work at Costa Coffee. We inspire the world to love great coffee, and it was a privilege to have Sarah as my growth partner.
Thank you very much. Super duper start. Lucy.
Hi, I'm Lucy from Spread a Smile, and we entertain seriously ill children in NHS hospitals, and my growth partner is Mark.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Herman from Green Court Property Group. We develop inspiring buildings throughout London, and I was lucky enough to have Lucy as my growth partner.
Thank you very much, Mark. Over to Nikki.
Hello, everybody. I'm Nikki from the Jewish Volunteering Network. We inspire people to volunteer and connect them to opportunities to do so. And I was delighted to have Debbie as my growth partner.
Hi everybody, I'm Debbie Wall, formerly of Sage, now very happy volunteering with JVN, and Nikki is my growth project partner.
Thank you very much. Jeremy.
Hi everybody, my name is Jeremy Bogish. I run a charity called iHeart, which is involved in providing resilience and wellbeing curriculums to young people all over the world. And my growth partner is Neil.
Hi everyone, I'm Neil Watkins from Sage. I lead our small business segment. We focus on transforming the way people think and work so they can thrive. And I had the pleasure of partnering with Jeremy.
Thank you very much, Matt.
I'm Matt from Circle Collective, and we're a charity that helps young people gain work experience in one of our streetwear stores in London and then supports them into employment. And my partner throughout the growth.
Oh, Matt's glitch, but it's okay. I think he's going to say my growth partner is Alex, I reckon.
Alex.
Hello, I'm Alex. I work at Clarkson's PLC, with the world's biggest ship broker. I work on the tanker desk, and as Elliot said, the big ships.
They're very, very big ships, and ships are doing quite well at the moment as we all spring back into action. Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh. I'm the Chief Exec and founder of Bright Futures UK. Simon's on the screen, I think. We support young people and back into education after serious illness, and my growth partner was Ian.
Hi everyone, I'm Ian Daly. I'm a director at Grayson's Hospitality, and as you've just heard, I had the pleasure of partnering Josh. I think it's over to Simon.
Thank you very much, Simon.
Hey, I'm Simon. I'm the founder of Migrate Art, and we empower displaced people by collaborating with the world's best creative minds. And my growth partner was the legend Karen Emmanuel.
Hi, I'm Karen. It was delightful to be partnered with Simon. I am an entrepreneur. My main business is a creative company founded in 1990 called Key Production Group.
Thank you very much, Karen, and a former jazz shaper, no less, on Jazz FM. Over to Nick.
Hi everyone, I'm Nick from Nickel Support. We support adults with learning disabilities, primarily into employment, and my growth partner was Justin.
Hi, good evening everybody. My name is Justin Ward. I'm a regional manager for Beaverbrooks the Jewellers. Our overriding purpose is all about enriching lives. Lovely. And I'm delighted to have Nick as my growth partner.
Thank you very much, Justin. And over to Alison.
Hello, I'm Alison Baum. I'm the founder and CEO of Best Beginnings. Best Beginnings is a charity that works to give every child the best start with an unwavering focus on reducing inequalities. And I was very lucky to have the fantastic Graham as my growth partner.
Hi everyone, I'm Graham Houghton, Sage Foundation's product director, and it's been a real privilege to work with Alison as my growth partner this year.
Thank you very much, Graham, and thank you all to the whole J cohort. I'm going to give you a big hand. It's an easy way of communicating, and anyone that's watching, even though no one can see you, why don't you also give them a big hand? Fantastic stuff. Thank you all very much. For those people that don't know, I think it's time that we delved a little bit deeper into the whats and the whys and the hows. So to help me on the what is the growth project, I'm going to be talking to Nicole, who hopefully through the wonders, well, look at that, the wonders of modern science, there she is. Nicole, you're the co-founder of the Growth Project in the UK. Help me understand, Paul was talking about this magic recipe, and for those of us outside the inner circle and the inner sanctum of the Growth Project, we're looking inside going, what does that mean? So help me understand what that magic recipe is and what Larry brought over from Australia.
Thanks, Elliot. And I do need to thank everyone here tonight to celebrate our incredible leaders. And I love that you ask around the magic recipe, because I will describe the program, but it is actually the intangible, what happens in that space in between, that really does make it magical. So what do we do? Well, each year we create cohorts of about 20 leaders from both emerging charities and leaders from businesses. And we name each of these cohorts after a bird. And so that our hope is by the end of the program, the leaders have a higher and a broader perspective. So our wonderful graduates tonight are called the Jays. We pair the leaders into growth partners, and together they participate in a one-year immersive leadership development program. So it starts with Paul and I giving each leader a really powerful pre and post coaching session, We use Lumina's personality and leadership profiles to support the leaders to grow their talents and to transform their key development areas. They then move on to the leadership workshops. They're monthly, and we have constructed them in a way to help them maximize the positive impact that they have on the world. So we do engage expert facilitators for each of the workshops, but all the leaders learn from each other's experience and expertise. That's equally important. The growth partners themselves work together on the key issues during the workshops, and this really provides a platform for the special bonds that you're going to hear all about tonight.
And just when I was meeting everybody just before, I immediately sensed there's a smile on everyone's face. There's really big energy. This has been an exhausting time for all of us, and yet there they are, 15, 20 people who are full of beans. Tell me a little bit about why you think there's this energy that they've created, where this chemistry might have come from.
Yeah, it is interesting, especially in, they call it the unprecedented year of 2020. Well, I think it's, you know, that the leaders themselves having come together and making sure that, you know, they have the right match, the right person. A lot of it, as you say, is just a magic, but they literally find it's impossible not to stay in close contact. So they're constantly supporting each other in between the workshops. There's calls, there's support, whether it's specific issues or projects that they're working on. And what's clear is what's happened over this year is just the beginning of, as you say, you felt the energy. This is going to be a lifelong relationships have been set up between them, and we're also not going to let them go ever. So very special.
And I suppose the other thing, Nicole, is the unexpected thing, that in this environment, I think the intensity, looking at someone face to face like this, and you can't walk, if I look away now, everyone knows I've lost interest. There's much more focus in terms of really listening to people. And I imagine that's really helped this group of people, because, you know, we can't escape on one level, but actually it means we get absorbed and we really empathize. And I imagine that's the other thing that's been happening over the course of the year.
Yeah.
Nicole, thank you. I'm going to move swiftly on to thoughts about specifically, and I'm going to bring in a couple of the leaders as well, specifically about this pandemic. And you know, as Paul mentioned yesterday, I was talking to Piers Morgan, who's talked about pretty much everything under the sun. It has been an incredible year. He called it dramatic and traumatic. And I think that's regardless of whatever you are, whoever you are in the world, however it's affected you. And I imagine some of us are the lucky ones, and some of us work with people who aren't so lucky. Let me understand. Let's start with Lucy, actually. Where's Lucy? There you are. Good. Help me understand specifically the sorts of challenges that you faced at the beginning of this lockdown, which is now extraordinarily about a year ago, and what the delivery of your services, what's happened to it, how has it changed, and essentially, how has your charity coped?
Our mission at Spread a Smile is to distract seriously ill children from the monotony of long hospital stays by spreading joy, laughter, and positive memories. And we do that by sending, it's quite simple really, we send our entertainers into hospitals to see these kids. So we send magicians, singers, fairies, therapy dogs, face painters. And if you'd have asked me, you know, 12 or 13 months ago, that's exactly how I would have explained what we did. And then COVID hit, and it hit us hard because we had to immediately stop all of our face-to-face visits. You know, the last place that anybody was going to be allowed was, you know, a group of people coming into a hospital with sick and vulnerable kids. So there was a time we thought, my goodness, like what's going to happen to Spread a Smile? You know, we can't, how can we operate? How can we go out and ask for money if we're not doing anything? But actually very quickly, we realised that these children in hospital would be more isolated than ever before. So very quickly, hospitals said, you know, children can only have one parent see them at any time, and all the services that are usually available to them were just taken away overnight. Playrooms were stripped of toys. They weren't allowed to see their friends in other rooms. And it was a really just a horrible situation for these kids, and nothing to distract them from the pain and the treatment that they were going through. So we knew we had to do something. So essentially overnight, we developed our digital delivery. So we started off, we launched Smile TV, which is basically a platform where kids could watch videos, all accessible via our website, of our entertainers just doing what they do best, singing, doing magic, dancing, being silly, making them laugh. And they could watch that 24/7. So even if a kid is having chemo in the middle of the night, they can still access smart TV. And then shortly after that, we launched our virtual visits. So just like this, you know, a kid, we mainly do it via Zoom, but a child in hospital can dial in and be with one of our entertainers. And the amazing thing is, as I said before, obviously, that they could only be with one parent in hospital and they were missing family and siblings at home. So actually that was a meaningful way for families to connect and have something really special together as well.
Did you find it stressful at the beginning, Lucy, when you realised that you had to take that bucket of love and warmth and fun and somehow work out how you get it to the kids? And how far along the line digitally were you? Was it a blank slate or did you have something to build on?
It was, I would say it was pretty much a blank slate. We'd started talking about smart TV, and luckily we had a partner in Kaltura, who are an amazing video platform, who were you know, supporting us, but pretty much it was a blank slate. Was it stressful? Yes. Are we privileged to have the most amazing team of committed people? Yes. And I think that kind of the values and the behaviors which underpin everything we do at Spread a Smile meant that, and that was there from kind of the very beginning from our amazing co-founders, meant that everybody rallied and did everything that they needed to do just to make sure that we could keep providing support to these families.
Yeah, thank you, Lucy. And just thinking, Alison, about the digital aspect of things, because everyone listening, everyone who's been involved in this cohort has suddenly gone, so how do I make it work in an environment where I can't actually touch and see and feel things and experience life in the way that we're used to? Tell me a little bit about how The Hobbit came to your rescue, and how, again, digitally, you were able to do something that you would never have conceived of probably before this pandemic hit.
Absolutely, that's a good question. The Hobbit and giving every child the best start. Well, it's a bit of a story, and I will take you on a little Hobbit journey, and it all relates to our fantastic ambassador, Andy Serkis, the actor and director. Some of you might know as Caesar from Planet of the Apes, but many people know him as Gollum from Lord of the Rings. And over the years, he's been really involved in our work, attending lots of events. So, for example, 2014, when we launched our app called Baby Buddy, which is a 24/7 support for parents, he was there at that event. And so he knew about what we were doing and the importance of our work, and he's an ideas guy, and he just reached out to me, and it was like a guardian angel arriving, because our gala dinner, which we'd been long looking forward to, that was supposed to happen at Mansion House, had to be cancelled because of the pandemic, and Andy said, I've got an idea. It's called the Hobbitathon. I was like, okay, tell me more. And his idea was to do a solid reading. We had no idea how long it would be, but a solid reading cover to cover of the book The Hobbit, with all the character voices, to raise money for Best Beginnings, he chose, and also NHS Charities Together. So we, I guess because he's a friend as well as an ambassador, I reached out to the other charity, we joined up with them, and then I reached out to GoFundMe, which is a giving platform, and they loved the idea and they got behind it, and they have sort of a bit of a PR team. So without it costing Best Beginnings anything, we organised a bit of PR around the fact that this Hobbitathon was happening. And it was 11 hours and I think a few minutes, or just under. We had 21,000 donations.
Wow. And how much did you raise?
So across both charities, over 300,000. And for Best Beginnings, when the gift aid came in, it was over £160,000. And that was just the most incredible kind of breather, because it was vital unrestricted funding, and it gave us time to think and plan. Meanwhile, these COVID pots were becoming available that different charities could apply for. And because our work is digital first, that's our key way of reaching our audience of tens of thousands of families across the country, we were able to apply for that funding. So thanks to that vital buffer that The Hobbit brought us, this year we've been able to continue our work and actually engage in new projects, and actually increased our income from 1.1 last year, and we're on target for 1.65 the year that's soon coming to an end. So
amazing.
I think, say to Andy, He is my precious.
He is your precious, and it's extraordinary, isn't it? As much as we would never have wished this adversity on any of us, I think this is for all of us hopefully a once in a lifetime moment, and it's meant that creativity and ideas have come to the fore. And as you can see I can see in the background, your cohort is giving you a big hand, which I hope everyone will do. Wherever you are in the world, please raise your hand, because that is an extraordinary achievement. Alison, thank you so much. I'm going to turn to Simon, who will magically pop up. There he is. Simon, hello. My sources tell me that you turned into a face mask entrepreneur. Just help me understand what happened.
Well, that's actually all Paul's fault. So we work with some of the best, biggest contemporary artists in the world, and Paul came to me, I can't remember when it was, it must have been April last year, super early into the pandemic, and said, face masks are going to be everywhere. You need to do artists' own face masks. And I just thought, yeah, whatever, you're an idiot. Face masks are never going to come. And lo and behold, I've learned to always trust Paul's word. Whenever he suggests
don't do that. Don't say these things, not in front of people.
So yeah, he kind of managed to talk me into it quite quickly. So me, him and Karen jumped on Zoom and had a chat, and just got moving. And I kind of realized it was time was of the essence. So I've never really worked on this we work with kind of original artworks that are worth upwards of 10 grand. And I've never really worked on things where we're selling them for 20 quid before. So I found a manufacturer in Belfast, who ended up being quite a big pain in the ass, but we got through it. And we managed to get them out really early into the pandemic. And I think we're probably the second people in the world to do artist design face masks. So we ended up selling about 2,500 of them. We raised almost £40,000 from it. And I was sat in my living room packing envelopes of face masks for about 2 months. So it was
extraordinary.
It was a great, yeah. And I've learned a lot about, and now we're doing a lot more product stuff. And yeah, it's a real learning curve for sure.
And I think business got back to some kind of normality, even if it was online, which was the auction at Christie's. And again, the artwork that you were selling there, what was the theme behind that, and how much did you raise? Because again, I know the figure's ridiculous. You're going to now tell me what it is.
I'll try and do this quickly because it was actually a project that spanned a year and a half, so there's quite a lot to it. But in 2019, I went with one of the charities we work with called the Lotus Flower, who are actually on next year's cohort, which I'm happy to share. So I went to Kurdistan in northern Iraq with Taban, the founder, because she's Kurdish. And whilst I was there was black kind of burnt fields, crop fields everywhere, and it really kind of struck me. And after a bit of research and a bit of digging down into it, I kind of found out that the fields were being burnt by the remaining ISIS fighters to sort of show they've still got a presence in the region and to sort of intimidate communities. So I collected up the ash in these sort of clear tubs, and I just had the idea to make paint with this ash. And the first thing everyone asked me was, how the hell are you going to get black ash from Iraq back to London? So we sat in kind of our accommodation, and the guy that owned the accommodation came over and was like, oh, what's in these tubs? And I said, oh, what do you think it is? And he was like, it's tea. And I was like, shit, it's tea. So I ran down to the local market and bought these metal tins of tea, poured all the tea out, chucked the ash in, sealed up the bags as best I could, and just threw it in my bag and hoped for the best. And then I got back to Heathrow and the ash was still there. So then we partnered with a paint company in London to make paint with it, and then we sent it out to 15 contemporary artists, including sort of Anish Kapoor and Rachel White-Reed and Anthony Gormley, and they all came back and produced 15 amazing artworks that we showed in Mayfair between lockdown 1 and 2. Auction with Christie's in October last year, and then we did a screen print with Shepherd Fairy as well using the ash, and in total we raised about 360,000 off the back of that.
Wow, I'm just going to do one of those as well. Feel free, wherever you are in the world, please raise your hand. That's incredible. You obviously, it's your thing to create and to help, but could you have ever imagined that you'd be out there doing that? I mean, in your wildest dreams, was this part of the plan?
I've always been curious, I suppose, and I've always not really believed what the media was telling us. And the thing that sort of got me into this world is that I went to Calais for the first time when the jungle was in the media in 2016. And I saw a completely different side to what sort of Nigel Farage and the Daily Mail were telling us. I saw that these were normal, kind, compassionate, caring people. And that really just sparked my interest. And now I want to go everywhere. So when I got the chance to go to Kurdistan, it's been a war zone for my entire life, but just that curiosity and wanting to see the other side of the story sort of took me there. And again, I just met amazing, kind, wonderful people.
Simon, that's extraordinary. Thank you. And it is there are lots of kind people, right? And that's the thing we must all remember, because it's easy to read the headlines and get pretty dismayed. I'm going to move on. Thank you, Simon. I'm going to move on to some specifics. We're going to get down to some nuts and bolts here with regard to how the Growth Project has specifically helped some of the cohort navigate in 2020, across 2020. What I also think is interesting about this is, if I was sitting in any one of your shoes in this J cohort, what would have been going through my mind is it going to be a good use of my time? I've got a business to run, I've got a charity to run. Why would I carry on being committed to a thing that I don't know is going to give me any great upside, that is going to take a lot of time? Have I really got the energy for that? And I now want to ask the question. Obviously, all of them are still here, so let's hope the answers are positive, because there's lots of people watching. Otherwise, it would be an unmitigated disaster halfway through this program. I want to find out what it's helped you do specifically, and I'm going to turn to Karen, who's, as you heard before, runs her own business, Karen Emanuel, who's going to help me understand specifically what the Growth Project has done for her. So Simon may magically disappear, and I believe that Karen will pop up with her incredible pink hair. I hope. There she is. Oh, are you wearing one of the masks?
Yeah, I certainly am.
You're like a walking, talking segue. Thank you. That's brilliant.
Isn't he great?
He's great. He is great. So tell me, Karen, at the beginning, were you apprehensive a little bit about what this might do for you? Did you think, what have I got myself into? Be honest, Karen. I'll know if you're not.
Actually, no. I really trusted Paul when Paul and I first met and talked about it. It basically, it's something that's totally up my street. I like learning and developing, and have interest in charities, but don't really know very much about them or how they're run. No, although I've got a lot to give because I've been in business for so long, I've also still got a lot to learn. And I've also got a lot that I still need to develop and need to be reminded of. Yeah. And I think the Growth Project really gave me that ability to kind of sit back, take a look, have a think, and has done a lot of positive stuff for my business by me being able to just take that back seat and talk to other people about it.
In terms of your own self-development, are there specifics you can look at and go, do you know what, that was a fantastic reminder, and actually I changed X? And if so, what was the X for you?
Oh, well, there were a couple of things. I mean, there were a couple of things that made a penny drop that I hadn't really thought about. Like my marketing, why was my marketing department doing what they were doing? And it was because they were trying to build our tribe, and that came up in one of the workshops that we were doing, and I was like, that's why they're doing. Oh, that makes sense. And then a couple of other things that I did. We did a one-page business plan, and I was like, oh God, I haven't done anything like this for years. And we actually got Paul to come and do a session within the company, and we've adopted it. And now we're kind of moving and changing it and want to sort of roll it out to other parts of the company. And just, some of the workshops that Nicole ran, you're sort of learning about yourself and your personality, and remembering how there's things that actually you need to realize about yourself and maybe adapt in certain ways. I mean, it's kind of endless. So, if you keep me on, I'll just keep going. No,
that's lovely. And it makes me, you talked about having epiphanies, and you talk about focus, and those are two really important things, especially when you've been running your own business for so long. Thank you. I'm going to turn swiftly over to Nikki. If Nikki is going to be produced for me, 1, 2, 3, and she's coming into the room. I can feel it. There she is. Look at that. It's amazing. Nikki, from your point of view, if you can give me a couple of specifics around what you got from it personally, and what your organisation got from it.
This has been the most incredible program. I have to say, every single element of it, and if I really am pushed to just pick out one, it's one that impacted both me and my organisation, and that's been my partnership with Debbie. So Debbie, as my growth partner, for the first 10 months of the programme, was amazing in terms of giving me advice, supporting me, mentoring me, as I was fairly new to my role as a chief executive. But then when Debbie left Sage Foundation, she said to me, I want to help you. And we'd had to reduce our team over this period. And she came in and she's been volunteering for us for the last 2 months. And she helped me deliver our Celebration of Volunteering Awards, which happened this Tuesday night. We had over 1,000 people online. We had 72 award winners from 46 different charities. And I couldn't have done it. We couldn't have done it as an organisation without Debbie's help and support. And actually, she's worked on both a macro level and a micro level as well, just getting on and doing it. Absolutely fantastic.
If you think back to across your career, have you ever had someone who's actually been a proper partner to you with no agenda other than helping you?
No, not in this way. Not in this way.
Because that's what it strikes me. This is what it is. It's like everyone on this cohort has one thing in common, which is they want to help their partner. And mostly in business life, and mostly even in the not-for-profit world, it isn't like that. It can get venal, and it can get, unfortunately, people, they focus on the wrong thing. It feels like everyone's eyes have been opened. I mean, amazing. I should have done it again. There's in the background, I can see big hands, a huge big hand for that, for Debbie A doing the last 2 months, but also for the achievements on where are we now? Thursday, on Tuesday night. Fantastic. And in terms of what you think you gave Debbie, because you've just told me what Debbie gave you, but tell me in your own words, try not to be humble. What do you think Debbie has got from you?
That's a really, really interesting question. I mean, the reason we got together was because when Debbie was at Sage Foundation, Sage enables their employees, partners and customers to volunteer. And so she was looking at things from an employee volunteering perspective, and we look at things from a charity volunteering perspective. And so I guess I gave her the ability to look at things from that perspective as well. And I suppose I also gave her the ability to give something in a really practical way in the last 2 months, I guess.
Let me get Debbie on a second.
I hope it was more than that.
No, I'm sure it was. I want to jump Debbie on. She wasn't expecting me to ask, but there she is. Look at that. It's so clever. Thank you, Jono. Debbie, Nick has been effusive about what you've done and emotional as well, because these things because it goes to the heart of what we do and our purpose. What has Nikki given you in your own words?
I think everything that she said, and I think also perspective of a different society. So Nikki is obviously from the Jewish community, and working with that community, which I hadn't done before, has been amazing, absolutely amazing. They are it's just been mind-blowing, actually. The community spirit, the teamwork, really watching each other's backs during the COVID pandemic. So just experiencing that different culture for me has been absolutely just phenomenal. And I've made some changes in my life over the last year, and Nikki's just been incredible in supporting me in that. So I think our relationship goes quite a bit deeper, I guess, than just being business partners. We're friends now. I mean, yesterday it was ridiculous. I sent her some flowers congratulating her on what an amazing job she'd done in their big fundraising effort. She sent me back the same ones. I mean, I mean, that's just bizarre.
No, she's very
it's just
smart.
Like the craziest thing ever.
Debbie, she's very, very smart. She's switched on. Thank you both. Thank you both. That's fantastic. Let me just turn briefly to Alex from Clarkson's. They deal in ships, big ships, as Alex said. I'm going to jump him on here. Some familiarity with that business. I've been reading the press, Alex. Seriously, I mean, with the amount of the charges that have gone up. I mean, people are buying, selling ships. Apparently, the value's gone up 5 times on the profit side of what you do. It's extraordinary.
Well, firstly, I'd just like to say Matt hasn't sent me any flowers yet, so I'm a bit upset.
We'll sort him out.
I'm waiting for those. But yeah, so our business, well, I think there's lots of different parts of the business, and some of them are doing well and some of them are not doing so well. I'm currently in the part that's not doing so well, I'm afraid to say. But we have
to change, Alex. It's going to change. It's okay.
It comes in peaks and troughs, basically. So.
Yeah. But from the perspective, from your perspective on the program, what's it given you? What do you think you've got now that you didn't have before?
I think what I would say, apart from obviously it's been great being working with Matt and his sort of inspiring role that he has in his charity. I think what's really hit home for me is that we worked in a business that was very social, quite old school in the way we did business as well. You know, it was we work on a broking floor, and we went from basically going from that to zero, working from home, essentially working on our own. And there was a lot of help from, I think the coaching that me and that we did with Nicole was great. It was really, really helpful for me. I think we work in a very macho world, and what Nicole did was kind of help me look inwards and understand the way I react and the way when I do business, the way my personality is, and help me kind of understand how to react with my clients. And she gave me some really good insight into kind of what I'm doing wrong and what I'm doing right, and how.
Give me, if you would, Alex, if you could be brave enough, give me one thing that you were doing wrong that you're now not doing wrong.
So I would say it's very easy to take our business personally, because we work on a face-to-face basis essentially. So people, you do business with people, a lot of the time it's because they like you. And sometimes when they don't give you business and you're expecting it, you take it personally. And I used to get really, really pissed off basically when that happened. And Nicole kind of helped me understand that it's not always because of me. Like, it's not always because they don't want to do business with me. It's because of other outside factors. And, you know, now when this sort of stuff happens and I get upset or I get annoyed, I sit back, I wait. Instead of reacting keyboard warrior, I now sit back and wait and make a much more judged decision rather than just go crazy. And it genuinely, it has helped, really has. So it's been great in that respect.
I felt like you were Matt Damon then in Good Will Hunting or something, and Nicole was Robin Williams saying, Alex, it's not your fault.
It's very similar to that, yeah, but we couldn't hug at the end. So
you can hug, but you can hug after this thing is over, or when you're both injected or whatever. Alex, thank you for your honesty. That's brilliant. You've just had a quick snapshot, and of course there are loads more stories from everyone who's been on this Growth Project J cohort. And thank you very much, as I said, for being open about what's worked, and a lot has worked. I want to now briefly introduce you to the 2021 cohort. We'll be starting their journey very shortly. In fact, they're going to be next week. I'm going to be handing over to Laura. There she is, with fabulous glasses and looking brilliant. Only that we've just met, but I can see there's vibrancy in those glasses and the hair too. It's all going on. She's an integral part of the Growth Project, and she's going to talk to you about the Kias. Over to you, Laura. I think you're on mute.
Yeah, thank you, Elliot. Nice to see everyone. So hopefully now, yes, you can see all of our new Kia cohort, which we are going to introduce to you. We have leaders from 12 amazing charities who are impacting society both in the UK and overseas, working in a range of different groups in society. And our business leaders come from organisations such as Sage, Clarkson's, Beaverbrooks, Spare Room, as well as several SME businesses. So Nicole mentioned this before, why are they called the Kias? Well, all the cohorts are named after birds in ascending alphabetical order, and the Kias are a native bird of New Zealand, known for their intelligence and curiosity, which is vital to surviving in a harsh mountain environment. So the Kia can solve logical puzzles, and they work together to achieve some of their objectives. So we've prepared this short video, which I hope you enjoy, with some advice and wisdom from our 2020 cohort, the Jays, as they hand over the torch to the Kias.
Hello, Kia cohort. You are in for one incredible journey.
My one sentence of wisdom to pass down to the next cohort would be to be vulnerable. It's going to become your biggest strength.
Be grateful for the opportunity that you've been given.
Be fully present in the room.
Come into the programme with an open mind.
I suggest that you ask questions of yourself, your partner, and your cohort.
If you can, do as much of the prep as possible, and also build in a bit of reflective time after those monthly workshops.
You get out what you put in. Prepare to really understand the complexities that the charities have to face and overcome to make their mark on society in general.
Make sure that you network with everybody in the group.
There is so much value to be gained as a collective.
You'll meet some fantastic speakers and have some amazing opportunities, but try different ways of thinking and see what works for you.
Be open to challenge some of your leadership skills.
Take note of all the other charities that are involved, because there are so many inspiring stories and amazing people within them.
Lean in to grab every opportunity and to make every connection, because a year later you have no idea where you'll be.
Apply the learnings every day. Make them part of your role, responsibility and purpose, and not a secondary thing to do.
Use your intelligence, like the Kia bird, to enjoy the growth project journey of discovery.
And seize this extraordinary opportunity with both hands.
Sorry about that. Whoopsie, there we go. I think I'm back on, and I'm with now, as you can see, he's my doppelganger, but he's just better looking, which is really annoying. It's Paul Freeman. He's the co-founder of the Growth Project in the UK. And Paul, you and I have spoken about this since you started it. Actually, we've known each other a long time. When you started telling me about this, there was a difference from my perception, from my experience of you, in that I sensed there was a purpose to you that I hadn't seen for a while, something that was beyond all the important things you've done in business over the years, but this to me seemed to transcend it. You've talked about this blurring of the lines a lot, and I mentioned it when we started this evening. In your own words, what is the blurring of the line between profit and purpose, and why is that so important to you? Why do you think it's so relevant right now?
I think it crept up on me a bit, actually, Al. When we talk about blurring the line, I think I've come to sort of reject this idea that there's a difference between, or there should be a difference between for-profits and not-for-profits. And I've come, having done loads of business stuff, and now started to get involved in the charity sector, I started asking questions of myself, like, why can't a business focus as much on their impact on society as they do on their profit? And why can't a charity focus on as much on being, financially sustainable, or being able to scale when they're successful? Why can't they focus as much on that as they do on their cause? So if we're going to blur the line, I think I've come to the realization that we need businesses to see that there's a true lasting value in them having a much broader perspective on the world that goes beyond hitting the profit for the quarter sort of stuff. Yeah. In other words, they've got to lean into the not-for-profit world. And in doing so, you can actually be more profitable. It is possible, and companies are doing it. But on the other side of the coin, because you can't just lecture to businesses, you've got to bring them in, and charities have a responsibility to ask themselves, how can I make collaboration with my charity more attractive, or make it easier for a business to get involved? How can I offer a for-profit organization a real exchange of value in this relationship? And I think many charities just kind of take that for granted, whereas businesses, when you think about it in the business world, they're talking about their customers and their partners. They're really on it in terms of that value idea. But I think, there's a big way a long way for the not-for-profits to move kind of in that direction. So probably the passion you saw in me when we started talking about it was that I could just see, having met Larry and heard about what he was doing, that what can happen when you throw leaders from both these sectors together, not to paint a shed for a day or something. And I'm not decrying volunteering, that is brilliant. But what happens when you throw the leaders together from both these sectors and give them a really meaningful amount of time,
like a calendar year, so that they can collaborate, they can learn together, develop together. And then if you do that well, maybe we can send them back into the world with that broader perspective. And then maybe they will find ways, which we call ripples, what are the ripple effects? Maybe they will find ways to blur that line. And that's what we're doing. We're incubating and giving people time.
I'm going to come to the insights and ideas that have come out of the workshops. But actually, I want to ask you a question. How has this changed you? And what has it taught you? Because here you are, you've been the co-founder of the organization here. You've sat at in the middle of the axis between not-for-profit and profit. What has Paul Freeman actually learned about himself and about business and about the wider world?
I knew I shouldn't have asked you to do this because you put me on the spot.
You asked for trouble. I give you trouble.
You give me trouble. I reckon it's quite simple, actually. It's given me the ability to use my talent, such as it is, to make a difference. So my talent, my experience is starting things up, getting things started, that huge amount of effort that it takes to get things going. That's what I can do. And in setting up the growth project, even though we imported massive amount of stuff from Australia, which made it easier, in doing that, what we've just managed to make a real difference by using our talents. And that's what we're asking all the leaders to do in the program. So what it's done for me, the difference it's made for me, I think, is just open my eyes to the fact of the impact that you can have just by applying what you've already got in the right direction. And when you do that, it's incredibly fulfilling.
Alex was talking about how Nicole had coached him through that kind of don't take it personally. If there's one thing that you've learned that you're better at doing now, what's that?
Oh God, I'm probably better at actually building something, not just starting it. I reckon.
So the next stage,
seeing it through, because it's made me now think in a way that I probably never thought before about what's next. Where do we go after this? Because the growth project will have a finite life. That's the point of it. All good charities should cease to exist once they've achieved their objective. We're going to achieve our objective. It's made me think about what's next. I think that's the big thing.
So in terms of the what's next, thinking about for this group of people and for the growth project and for you, what came out of these sessions? What would be the blueprint, if you like, for if the growth project was a political party? What would it say it learned in the last year that it would then apply to the world of business and the world of not-for-profit?
I think actually it's the magic recipe that we've got, that we were handed down. And if you're a corporate, and if anybody's in the audience looking at this in their business, you can actually take the growth project, the learnings from the growth project and everything that we've got, and you can do it in your own business. You can do it yourself. And that's what we're really interested in scaling. Let big companies take all of this magic that we've created, all the evidence we've got, the knowledge we've got, and do it themselves. And if they do that, then you have just scale. You have hundreds of leaders engaging in the way that we're engaging. And I think that's the gift that we can give going forward.
Thank you. I'd like to bring in Debbie Warner, who's until recently head of Sage Foundation. Are you there, Debbie? Yes, there she's back. She's been popping up a few times here, unexpectedly in a couple of places. Sorry about that. People have said to me, it wouldn't have happened without you, and obviously without Sage behind it. What did it mean to Sage, and what does it mean to you to be involved in this?
Look, I started Sage Foundation nearly 6 years ago for Sage, and at the time the chairman and the then CEO's mantra was that we wanted to really support the communities and society that we were operating in. So that's 26 markets at that point in time, and we also needed to really start to bring together all the colleagues, all the people that work for Sage around the world, because there was no integration and there was no collaboration and there was no engagement, or very little engagement, and that was mainly due to the way the business was set up at the time. And if I'm being absolutely honest with you, I would never in our wildest dreams believe that we've ended up where we've ended up with Sage Foundation, and I think it's true testimony to everything that Paul's been saying about blurring the lines, is that if you can get big businesses to really get behind their local you get communities and the charities and not-for-profits that are operating in those markets, then absolute dynamite can be created. You know, passion. I mean, there's so much passion at Sage for Sage Foundation and all the work that's being done, and you know, it's really difficult to put into words, but on so many levels it works for Sage, especially now with so much more emphasis being put on ESG reporting, and you know, Sage have got an amazing platform for all their social reporting now. And it's also done amazingly for all the engagement of colleagues, all the Glassdoor scores, all the scores around engagement have gone through the roof. Now, I'm not saying that's totally to do with Sage Foundation, but it's got a lot to do with it, especially in the early years of Sage Foundation. So for me, it's an absolute no-brainer, and businesses are doing it, but a lot of big businesses have foundations that are charities. And what happens over time is these charities can quite often move away from the actual elements of the business. They sort of almost become separate to the business, and then I think you lose the magic. So it's really making sure that the philanthropic work stays at the centre of the business, and that there is lots of blurring of lines, like you're seeing here on the Growth Project.
But it's tough, isn't it? Because corporates, and I work for a big company, and we are keen. In fact, we're applying to be a B Corp and all sorts of things like that, which is a fantastic thing. But actually impacting and being inside a community, and being being outside of the community trying to impact it, much harder. I mean, you yourself have seen that firsthand in the last year. How do corporates square that circle?
I think there has to be senior engagement within the business. So if you haven't got the senior leadership in the business behind and really supporting, of which Sage is very lucky, both CEOs that I've worked under were absolutely committed to Sage Foundation, and they saw the power that having that philanthropic element to the business and investment, then as long as you've got that goes a long way. And I think that is the key. If you really, having seen, especially in the last couple of months, a few examples of where it's not working quite so well and they're trying to fix it, it has to have that senior engagement. And if it has that senior engagement at all levels in all markets, then I just don't see a problem with it.
Brilliant, thank you. Can I bring in Matt from the Circle Collective if he's available for comment right now? I'm hoping he is. Let's see. Yes, good. Matt, hi. You've been referenced a few times, I think, in passing. What's it meant to you, and what do you understand by a couple of things? Firstly, the blurring of the line thing, and secondly, the impact of the Growth Project for you personally.
I think the blurring of the lines was really interesting when Paul was talking about it, because everyone on the Growth Project, they're leaders of businesses, and we've all got different social outcomes and we've all got different missions, but we all want to be good employers, we all want to be good leaders, and we all want to hit whatever goals we've set for ourselves. And it's quite easy, I think, to put a charity on a pedestal because we're doing good in our communities and we're trying for these amazing outcomes. But we need to take on board some of what the for-profits are doing, because they're very successful what they do, and there's a lot of business practice, which for me has been amazing working with Alex to take on those business practices and those understandings. I think charities get very tied up in being well-meaning, and I think what we can do is take that well-meaning and take that ability to look at our communities and see where we can affect change and lead corporates and for-profits into this world, because they're obviously very good at doing what they do. We can open their eyes to there's different ways of working, there's different ways of interacting, and we have the expertise of being part of our communities, of knowing what's going on the ground floor, and having that ability to bring it all together. So I think there's a responsibility that lies with some of the charities to hold the hands of corporates, and corporates have the ability to be able to fund things, put resource into it, and be able to develop and support and grow what we're trying to do. So yeah, we need to do it together. There's a sweet spot somewhere in the middle between being well-meaning and having funding and resourcing, where I think together we can make the difference that we're all aiming for.
Well-meaning and having funding for resourcing, I think that's a pretty good sweet spot. Matt, thank you so much. Nicely put. I have one more person to bring into the spotlight. Thank you, Matt. And that's Lee Perkins, the Sage PLC COO. Sage, if you haven't already gathered, is quite important in this project. It's the founding partner of it, and I'm really happy, Lee, that you're here this evening with us. Thank you. You've obviously, look, you've been around. You know what this is about. You guys you've been there since the beginning, and it's your baby. Just reflecting on what you've heard this evening, and I'm new to this, and there's so many things that just pop out. What are the top 2 or 3 things where you say, "Wow, this is working for me"? What makes you proud from what you've heard this evening?
I think there's there are so many brilliant stories, Elliot, but I'm stunned, quite frankly, with the way that people have committed and stayed connected and driven brilliant outcomes for themselves and for their charities, as well as for the partners throughout what's been just a crazy time. So it's when you hear about some of these stories of massive innovation, creativity, huge compassion, partnership, real commitment, it was brilliant. And it's lovely to see Debbie, by the way. It's brilliant to see friendships, lifelong friendships and relationships being developed. But the thing that I think is equally important, and you and Paul, I think, just described it brilliantly, is the blurring of the lines. There was a time when business would do well, and then if it had done well, it might try and do good by making donations to charities or supporting different causes. But the businesses that are going to win now do good, and hopefully consequently do well. And that's the kind of business that Debbie's helped us to try and build with Sage. And the foundation piece is the fabric of the company. It's part of the beating heart. And I suspect the growth project is going to be part of the beating heart for everybody that's been a part of it for the last 12 months. But having sat with people almost a year ago in London and not having seen anybody, and the amount of incredible things that have happened between then and now, is just totally inspirational.
Yeah, it's unimaginable, isn't it? And I mean, I don't know what you feel like, Lee, but I find it really hard to remember what I did today, let alone what I did this week, last month. But it's just because we're all at it, and all this group of people are at it. So we all have personal triumphs and personal failures, and along the way, but it feels like we've just had absolutely hundreds of them. One of the things that struck me about what Debbie said is that it's got to come from the top. How do you, as a really senior person in a big organization, how do you help inculcate that sense of importance of responsibility with your peers across other PLCs and across your suppliers? Is that an active part of what Lee does? Are you an advocate in that way?
Absolutely. And I think, and again, Deb said it, and it's not just Steve, our CEO, it's not just me, it's a huge collective of us. And we needed help to get there, though. It didn't just develop it overnight. It was something that it required a professional who really knew what they were doing in Debbie to help us get on the right path. And we started with a lot of enthusiasm, but we were probably willing amateurs at that stage. But what's happened is this has developed into a real movement. So it's become more of a flywheel now. So there's everybody in the business is making that contribution, and whether that's our partners and suppliers, as you've said, there's a huge contribution to it. And it's really frowned upon if you don't participate. I remember Deb and I have been on a number of events over the years where we've done things with customers and partners, and every now and again, when we've held, wherever we go in the world, we always do foundation events. Wherever we go, whatever we do, we always do it. We always do volunteering. We did some great stuff last year. If people don't join in, it really stands out. And it's when you get that positivity in the culture, which is we're all in. And if you're not all in, people kind of, hang on, come on. This is who we are. This is what we do. So I think it's self-fulfilling now.
And if you were to fast forward 5 years, and we'd all kind of like that in a way, because hopefully life will be a lot better. So it seems like a long time away, and I'd never wish a day away, let alone a few years. But if you were to fast forward 5 years, what are your aspirations for the growth project? From a geographical point of view, from an impact point of view, do you think like that? I mean, do you do your 3-year and your 5-year plans for this?
Absolutely. I think one of what we know from the great work that Paul and the team have done is that the project is very portable, but we now know it's entirely global. because the way people have interacted in the last 12 months, you could have been sat in any part of the world, in any continent, in any time zone. So the restriction that we would all naturally have put on ourselves around physicality is no more. So there are no limits now to what can be done with the growth project from a geographic perspective. Obviously, as always, we need to have good investment support and be mindful about how we expand, but there's no physical limit to what can be done. And I think when I think back to some of the stories from everybody, by the way, every single story was inspiring in its own way. These are the advocates and the people that will be those, I hope, leading out their own cohorts of the growth project in different parts of this country, other countries all around the world. So I think Paul's proved, with the great work building on the stuff that Larry and the team did originally, he's proved that we can bring it to the UK. And for me, there's no limit now.
Lee, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I'm going to take just a couple of words just before I'm going to hand over for the last time from me to Nicole. Just a quick thoughts from me. It's portable, it's global, it's about collaboration, it's about community, and all of you, the people I've spoken to today, have exhibited such extraordinary resilience and creativity. And I'm imagining that even if it hadn't been the kind of year it was, I'm sure that you all would still have had those moments, those epiphanies that Alex talked about and many of you also talked about. And in summary, I think, just before handing over, I think this blurring the lines thought is a big one. And if we can all embrace that, both sides of the divide that was, because there can't be a divide anymore, right? It's that time has gone. That blurring the lines will help us all move forward to an absolutely brilliant future. Thank you for inviting me on, Paul. Thank you especially. I'm going to hand over to Nicole to take you through for the rest of the evening.
Thank you, Elliot. You are sensational and made this evening so special. Thank you. And also to thank Lee for your inspiration, your vision, and your ongoing support of the Growth Project. Really grateful. So as we are drawing to the end of this very special evening, on behalf of Paul and myself, we'd like to give a few thanks to all the people that made the Growth Project both possible and absolutely brilliant. And then we're going to end with a special surprise video that's been dedicated to the Jays. So before I do the other thanks, Paul, I need to thank you. It's been phenomenal to partner with you and to bring the Growth Project to fruition. Your passion, your commitment, your deep care, and your pursuit of excellence has really benefited the team and each of the leaders. Thank you. I'd also like to thank Larry for your divine wisdom and passion for good that's really birthed the Growth Project and made it possible for us all to fulfill our purpose and dreams. We really are forever grateful to you. We'd like to thank our wonderful board, David, Graham, Ian, and Julie, for all your support and for keeping us on track to ensure our success. Debbie, you're incredible. Your expert advice in getting the Growth Project UK started. And beyond that, your ongoing continuous support. We are really grateful to you and just hope the relationship continues. Laura, part of our integral team member, as Elliot mentioned earlier, thank you for your creativity and your creative spark and energy that you bring to every single conversation and debate that we have and to every initiative that we engage with. You're really very special and I absolutely have loved working with you. And then we come to our very special Jono, who has been very busy working behind the scenes. So Jono, can I please ask you if you can spotlight yourself and come onto the screen for us? Yes, you're there, thank you. Jono, what can we say to you? You've been the engine that's powered the Growth Project. Your crazy, endless enthusiasm, incredible competence at so many levels has really enabled the team to confidently deliver this whole program. We are going to miss you so much. But we do have to let you go, and we really wish you the most fantastic adventure as you take a year out exploring the Highlands and in your marriage to Lindsay. Just congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you at the end of the year when you return, but we will definitely miss you. And on that note, I'd like to welcome Jess, who's going to be stepping into your shoes, but no pressure at all, Jess. I know that you'll be absolutely great. And to look forward ahead to the new Kia group, we really hope that tonight's inspired you and that you look forward as much as we do to starting your program next week. And yeah, I think before I come to the J's, I want to thank everybody here, all the guests, for showing up, for being here, for your enthusiasm and support. And really, without you, this celebration wouldn't be so special. So to be witnessed, for the J's to be witnessed, and for your support for them has been really wonderful. So thank you for being here.
Nicole, I'm going to do what I always do with you, which is butt in. But after those lovely words you said, I just want to make a point to everybody that I think Nicole and I are very much yin and yang. And I really attribute the soul of this group to Nicole, with your absolutely unrelenting kindness and desire to make the world a better place and to listen to people. It would be a harder edge program if it weren't for you. And I just want to pay tribute to you. Now you can get on and talk what you want to talk about.
Thank you. So the final thanks is to the J's. This evening is really for you. But each of you, I know, has a place in our hearts. We have loved sharing this journey with you. It's been an incredible year. Your flexibility and movement from face to face, starting with the incredible program with Heather. Thank God we had that. And then we had to take it all online virtually. But I can't imagine the connections and the learning being any better, virtual or not. So really thank you to each of you. So as a token of our appreciation, you should have now each received our special gift. Can I ask, let's see, Graham, thank you. So they received a lovely frame, certificate, and a bonsai tree. So why, you can all ask, a bonsai tree? Why do you think we did that? So the bonsai is really our blessing to each of you, to be blessed with the qualities of the bonsai, which is balance, strength, and stability. So we ask you to stay grounded, to bend with the wind, and to keep growing. So to finish off, we asked each of the J leaders what their growth project partner means to them. And Paul's incredible and artistic daughter, Connie, has created a video and brought this together. So I hope that you all enjoy it. Thank you.
Six words to describe Kate.
Karen, Josh, Justin, Alex, Alison,
Graham,
Nick, Neil,
Nikki, Sarah,
Ian,
Simon,
Jeremy, Lucy,
Debbie,
Matt,
Mark are caring, present,
insightful,
compassionate,
committed,
brave,
Absolutely passionate in his belief.
Inspiring.
courageous,
devoted leader.
Having Kate as my growth partner over the last year, during COVID especially, has been the most incredible journey.
The time I've spent with Sarah over the past year has just been absolutely brilliant.
Kate is such an amazing role model.
I've learned so much from her.
I've broadened my thinking.
She's given me so much food for thought and so many insights in all of our interactions.
I've built my confidence. I felt supported, and I've really been able to step into my power.
Her charity, the Kids Network, is absolutely flourishing. I think Sarah has also taught me a lot around how she builds such great teams of people that have really come together around her vision and her commitment to making change. and it's something that I have really taken away a lot from in terms of my own leadership and working with my team. I am in awe of her, really, so thank you.
I just can't thank Kate enough.
I might be a little biased, but I think the Jays are a truly incredible group of people. The non-profit leaders especially are insanely inspirational, and hearing about their organisations and the work they do over this last year has really filled my heart with hope and warmth when it needed it most. I'm especially lucky to have been paired with Alison. Alison's drive, passion, dedication and enthusiasm are infectious.
I've been so lucky to have Graham as my growth project buddy this last year. He's so smart and thoughtful, so engaged in the project, so interested in the work of Best Beginnings and working with me. And I've so valued the time we spent together at the growth project workshops and equally the sessions we've had in between times.
I've made a true friend and a confidant in Alison, and I'm really looking forward to continuing this journey that we're on together.
The Growth Project partnered Simon and I so well, and the journey that we've been on together has been incredible. We've learned an awful lot.
Working with Karen has really shown me it's important to combine the passion and creative side of things with process and structure to make sure they're all working well together. I'd say she's a bit of a disruptor and has done things her own way, which I found very inspiring.
I really love his ideas and creativity. I love what he's doing with My Grey Art.
Me and Karen have become good friends from this, and I'm really, really happy about that.
We've definitely made friends for life. I know this isn't where our journey's going to end. It's just been brilliant.
Josh has given me a wonderful lens to look through, to start to understand and appreciate the wonderful work that charities do.
I describe Ian as a very calm and wise person, and working with him over the past year has been an incredible experience. He's been a great sounding board for many of the challenges I've faced, both personally and professionally, and I don't think I would have been able to overcome everything if it wasn't for him.
I should be forever grateful to him. Thank you, Josh.
So, how can I describe Nick? He is kind-hearted, generous, driven, passionate regarding his cause, and also he actually underestimates his own ability and the impact he has on the people around him as well.
Justin, I think, was a perfect choice for me. I instantly felt comfortable opening up and working through any issues. Lots of hearts, and I think out of that I've come out a stronger, more confident leader, ready to change the world for people with learning disabilities.
It's been a pleasure working with Nick, and I look to carry on doing so in the future.
So thank you, Justin.
Spending time with my growth project partner Lucy has been the highlight of my time in the growth project.
In what was a very challenging year last year, it was really great to have Mark around.
When we first met, I was under the impression she would be learning from me. The truth is, after 12 months spent with Lucy, I have learned much more from her.
He was always very encouraging. He always made time for me. He really helped boost my confidence, and he was always there with really great advice.
Her dedicated approach, and above all else, her thoughtfulness to others, have shown me areas that I need to improve. We started the project not knowing each other, and have ended it as good friends.
Alex has a real drive for success and a passion that's infectious.
Matt is a warm-hearted and inspiring charity leader.
He's a great listener. He spent a lot of the past year trying to understand the challenges of my charity and supporting me with solutions.
His devotion to the goals of his charity and what they work towards, and his passion for bettering himself for the good of his organisation have helped me understand what it takes to progress within my own world, whilst not losing sight of the values that he started with.
He's a great foil for me, as his strengths really lie in strategy and negotiation, and reading and understanding people, and this is what I needed for my own development.
I had the privilege of partnering and learning from Jeremy Bogosh from iHeart, who is an inspirational leader with a wealth of experience, who cares deeply about his charity and having a positive impact on society.
So my growth partner was Neil. Neil, I love this guy. We just kind of really hit it off and got on very well. He had a huge amount of deep insight around, particularly around growth actually, but and just a very kind of very assured manner.
By partnering with Jeremy, I've been introduced to the world of charities. I now have a greater understanding about mental health and well-being and its place across society.
He really inspired me, and I think hopefully I inspired him. Thanks again, Neil.
Nikki is amazing.
Through all the difficult times she's had this year, she's continued to grow and shine, not just as a person, but as a strong, kind and assertive leader.
Debbie is an inspiring leader, and she's a very real person. She's straightforward, she's honest, she's got great integrity and really strong values.
Never has she given up and has shown so much grit and determination in everything that she has been doing.
She operates on a macro level and a micro level seamlessly.
Through all her challenges this year, she has also supported me as my life took a new turn. She is one of the most thoughtful, generous people I am lucky enough to know.
She's enabled me to grow into my role, to develop. She's supported me, encouraged me, and challenged me in the most positive way.
Meeting Nikki was, I think, definitely one of the best things that came out of 2020. And I'd like to thank her for everything that she's done. Nikki, you are a star. Thank you.
I can't thank her enough for everything that she's done.
So I hope this this video conveyed the love, the respect, the camaraderie that this group of outstanding leaders have found through their experience with the Growth Project in what has definitely been a uniquely difficult year. We applaud you all and we wish you all the best on your journey, but this isn't goodbye, not by a long way. We're all planning on staying in close contact with each other, and we hope to continue enriching each other's lives. With 24 new leaders taking up the baton from next week, you will overnight become a community of 42 leaders committed to making a difference in the world. Add to that the 200 leaders in Australia, and it's pretty clear to me that we've got the start of a movement. Let's make the most of it. Let's make a difference. This brings the graduation to a close. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us this evening. And we hope that we will see you again in November for the graduation of the Kias. Who knows, maybe we'll even be doing it in person. Thank you very, very much, and good night.
Hi guys, well done. Well done everyone. Elliot, Paul, Nicole.